This man burns 2 large pots of water every day when he gets home from work. Then, in the sweltering environment, he constantly chews on dry mushrooms. Once the mushrooms have absorbed enough of his saliva, he discards them. Only by doing this can he expel as much moisture from his body as possible. Takamura is very strict about his diet to lose weight. He eats only 2 fruits and a bowl of soup every day. As long as Takamura can ensure he doesn't starve to death, he knows this is the only way he can lose 40 pounds in the shortest amount of time. Otherwise, he won't be able to participate in the upcoming championship challenge. Soon, Takamura will face the world champion in a match, but their gym doesn't have enough funds, so they managed to secure a lower weight class for Takamura. Originally, Takamura's body type made it hard for him to fight in the middleweight class, let alone the next lower weight class. So, Takamura now has no choice but to lose weight. However, losing weight is an extremely painful process. Takamura not only needs to burn fat, but he also needs to expel large amounts of water from his body. So every day, Takamura tries to sweat as much as possible, and he strictly controls his water intake. At first, his weight loss went smoothly, but when Takamura was down to the last 5 kilograms, he fell into despair, because now, most of the moisture in his body had already been expelled. Losing weight was no longer as easy, and he might even stop losing weight entirely. Takamura had tried so hard, but now the weight wouldn't come off. Staring at the scale that wouldn't budge, he walked into the kitchen, where a note was left behind. It was the soup his sister had made for him. Originally, this soup was one of his few dinners, but now, even though it was soup, Takamura couldn't drink it anymore. He felt guilty towards his sister, but he still poured the soup down the drain with his own hands. Now, the only thing he could eat were mushrooms that were drier than dry. But what was even worse was that Takamura's saliva no longer produced any moisture. Both his body and mind were being tortured. He had become irritable. He wouldn't let anyone touch him, not even his coach. This was the mental toll of long-term weight loss. In the beginning of a weight loss journey, people crave all sorts of foods, ramen, steak, curry rice, and so on. But after a while, they lose all desire to eat anything, only wanting to drink water. At first, they crave soda and fruit juices, but after some time, they just want water. And at this stage, all the muscles in the body begin to contract, as if the soul is leaving the body. The person becomes extremely sensitive, even experiencing hallucinations. Takamura was now in extreme discomfort, desperately wanting to drink water. He could hardly bear it anymore. In this state, Takamura couldn't sleep at all. He could only keep training to numb his nerves. Every time he lost a little more weight, it felt like his bones and muscles were vanishing. Now, he had only 2 more kilograms left. Takamura was in unbearable pain. He began to ask himself, why was he doing this? Why was he enduring this suffering? But when he looked at the poster on the wall, Takamura knew it was all because of the man in the poster. It was all because of him. Takamura was so determined now because of his next opponent, a man named Hoku, who was currently the world champion in the next lower weight class. Even though Hoku was the champion, he was far from humble. Hoku knew his next opponent was in the ring, so he spent his time taunting him. He didn't even care about his opponent. His confidence was overwhelming. Takamura, angry on stage, knocked his opponent down. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was when Hoku publicly insulted Takamura in front of reporters. He showed complete contempt for Takamura, constantly stripping away Takamura's dignity. No one had ever disrespected Takamura this way before. That's why Takamura was so angry. He had to defeat Hoku at all costs. In the lead up to the match, their attitudes were completely different. Takamura was working hard to lose weight every day, while Hoku didn't care at all. In his world, women were more important than the match itself. When Takamura's coach read the reports,